Okay, here we go. We're looking at the specification list now, so just a quick synopsis as to where we are. So we've got section A there with a list of 7 items that you should have done. A lot of you have done them, which is fantastic. Section B, we've started. We've done the design brief last week, spent 2 lessons on just a paragraph. This week we're looking at a detailed and justified specification list, so that's the thing I'm going to go through on the video. If you look at the assessment, the criteria, the sections for different criterions for your NEA, you'll notice now we're on this section, which is section B. It's worth 10 marks. So think how much you've done for 10 marks prior for your research. This is one sheet, 10 marks on offer here. You'll notice I've scrubbed this one out. I'll speak to you about this when you come back, but we've now got a letter from AQA outlining the removal of section E, which is the making element. But they are still encouraging some element of making, so we'll have to have a look at that a bit more closely. There is some modification to the mark allocation for these 2 sections, which I need to look at in more detail, but it does help us out considering the amount of time we've had or lost. We're then moving on, so these are the aims. So we're going through to produce an informative and detailed specification list, to look at the assessment criteria now. So if you look here, remember we've got these 2 paragraphs that we'd looked at last week. The top one relates to the design brief. It's this bottom one we're looking at now. So it says comprehensive design specification. So in this, to make sure it's comprehensive, we're looking at things that we've looked at in our research. So if you think back to our product analysis, we're looking at function, we're looking at aesthetics, dimensions, environmental issues and materials, maybe even information. These are all things we want our CD packaging to fulfill, so we have to think about these in a bit more detail. So that's how we make sure it's comprehensive, that we cover a lot of these areas. The second bit we've highlighted, it says a very high level of justification linking to the needs and wants of your client. So every point that you put in your specification list, you're going to have to justify why it's in there. So this needs to come from or go back to either your investigations that you've done, like your product analysis, or whatever your client has said. So if you said it needs to include dark colours, you need to say that your justifying point will say that I've got feedback from my client that suggests that dark colours best reflect the genre. If you've said that it's going to be a particular size, that might have come back from your product analysis when you've been analysing the size of a CD. So you've got to link these back to your research. So there needs to be a link from the research to your specification list, and then ultimately, and this next one, there's going to be a link from your specification list to your initial ideas and your development. So when we've written a specification list, any ideas we produce, any developments we need to produce, we always need to document and say, how are my ideas meeting my specification list? Or if they're not, why not? Okay, so that's the criteria. That's the top tier band. So we're now looking at, again, to look at some exemplar stuff from AQA. So in here, you've already seen this one. I've gone through the design brief at the top of it. You can see here on the left, these are the points. These are the justification points on here. It's going to be slightly different as to how I encourage students to lay them out. But it does say it's got clearly divided the points from the clear explanations here. So points and explanations, which is good, I suppose. This overall, including the design brief, it got 7 out of 10 this one. So it says a range of detailed design specification points have been created and justified. This links well with the research. So in the justification, they must be saying why that point's in there and how it links back to the research that they've carried out. This one, slightly different layout on this one. You can see here they've got these paragraphs down the side, but they've got these subtitles indicating the topics that they're saying that their product needs to meet. So you've got function, size, environmental issues, aesthetics as well. So this student has used headings, which is good, which ensures a more focused and possibly comprehensive design specification. So we're going to adapt that to ours. This one also got 7 out of 10. Which is interesting on here, but it says in both examples no specific dimensions have been included, which is important. So we need to put some reference to sizes in there. Okay, so if we move on, then we've got this bit. It says we're going to look at composing your specification list based on your findings. So this is what it might look like. So you've already started this, so you should have your design brief at the top here, which some of you have given some feedback. You'll have your clear heading, design specification list. So we now then put our specific headings in. So we started with function, aesthetics, materials, could be information, environmental issues, dimensions, and so on. Then what we need is any points that you include, they need to be in bullet point form. So this one, the promotional material needs to be flat pack after use. This one, the promotional material must include a point of sales display, some packaging for the cakes. So that, remember, we're not doing this particular brief. So we've got the bullet points in there. The next thing we need is the justification. So the justification, so you see on these ones here, I've done these in Roman, so they're not bold on here. So there's a difference, bold, not bold. So you can see there's a difference between the justification and the point. So this one is explaining why this point is important and how it relates back to my research and maybe the client on there. Okay, so we'll leave it there. I'll do another video just explaining what we've got on your sheet. So there's 2 videos to this one.